Hi! Welcome to the BlueMilk podcast. Thanks for joining us at the BlueMilk podcast, where we try to talk about anything and everything Star Wars related. I'm BJ.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Trent.
And today we have guests. This would be a returning guest.
I'm Faith.
And someone new.
I'm Danny.
Today we're talking about something near and dear to some of our hearts. We are talking about Star Wars. And our guests here are going to be talking about Harry Potter. And for some reason, Jacob thought this was a good idea.
It is a good idea. Oh my god.
What's the idea, Jacob?
Well, we're going to kind of compare and contrast the two universes. And then afterwards, we're going to discuss who would win, either a Jedi/Sith versus a wizard. So,
Okay, first off, does Harry Potter actually have a universe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a Harry Potter verse.
So there's different planets that Harry goes to.
There's different realms. Or a different realm, I should say.
Wait, there is? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's on the other side of the mirror?
So,
Well, there's that. That was the veil.
there's the veil.
Yeah.
That would be the separation between living and dead. But otherwise, it's basically just on Earth that we know of.
So there's no, like, magical realm? Like the Fade, or...
Okay, so the
Not really, no.
universe versus universe has been debunked. Next.
He's being super technical.
Well, of course.
Of course. But no. So, like, Harry Potter versus Star Wars. Okay, so... From my perspective... I'm having a hard time comparing the two because a Jedi would fucking kill a wizard.
Oh my god.
I disagree.
I got it.
We'll get to that.
Hermione Kenobi.
I'm okay with that shipping.
Hermione Kenobi?
I'm completely okay with that shipping.
Obi-Wan Granger.
That would be her dad?
What am I talking about?
Wait, did we just discover Rey's parents?
No.
Oh.
Harry Palpatine.
That's just sounds...
disorder!
That
goes great with the fact that he's that Papa Palpatine, and he's a pedophile, and we Harry Palpatine. That's great.
I like it.
It all goes together.
He
It
has a
all
whole bunch of
goes.
scars, so it makes sense.
Ugh.
But no, so I'm trying to understand. Okay, like Star Wars, they have like a lot of different races. They go to many different planets with a lot of different settings. Harry Potter takes place on Earth.
True.
All right.
There is multiple different races, though.
How many races?
Oh, God.
Because we're talking about like movies and books, of course, and the whole verse. But like we don't really see any of that. Like I've read all the book. Well, I've read all the main books. Like what is it? Book 1, Sorcerer's Stone, all the way up to Half-Blood Prince, or Deathly Hallows. Last one, yeah. To Deathly Hallows, and then I've seen the movies, including the Fantastic Beasts one, and
Which was pretty good.
I'm looking forward to the next one as well.
Yeah.
Simply because I just want to see a gay Dumbledore, played by Jude Law.
It's always been gay. It's not a new thing.
But the thing is the old Dumbledore didn't act gay. I want to see Jude Law.
An F.
Yeah, it's
at the end of
Dumbledore, not Dumbledore.
Dorf. He's Dorf. Dorf.
Dumbledore.
Regardless, you don't see. See, I keep using that. I will always use it. It's mine. I mean, it's mine. But no, you don't really see him go around and be like very gay. Whereas, like, they are actually going to make him. That's one of the things they were pissed about when they did Jude Law in Fantastic Beasts. There was a whole uproar.
You're opening a whole other can of worms.
He got progressively more
Acting
gay throughout the movies.
It's like,
true.
It was really subtle in the beginning,
Yeah.
but at the end, when he dies in 6, you can kind of, like, he's a lot more flamboyant.
Like when he fell, he was like this.
In the books, it was pretty clear.
Queen!
Well, it's also a different actor, too, but
Yeah,
he was definitely a lot more flamboyant character by 6.
I wouldn't say flamboyant. He was just more feminine. He wasn't really flamboyant.
I mean, he's an eccentric person just by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see how Jude Law will portray that.
Yeah.
Whether or not he'll actually take him to, like,
be an interesting thing.
Full gay.
I kind of hope that they don't, though. That's not the point. That's not the point.
It is for some people. They have a whole petition and pissed offness and everything.
But that is not his whole identity. That's a sliver of a much larger person.
I'm aware of that.
Make that his he has to act gay because that's his whole thing.
Part fairy, man.
I'm aware.
Yeah, he's super
I am so
Super
aware.
fashionable.
Yeah.
Doesn't he wear a bright purple tux when he goes to meet
I thought she was
Tom
gonna say
for the first
bra.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wear
Bright
that too.
purple.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
To be fair, that's more like cross-dressing, not really like a gay thing. Because cross-dressers are not necessarily gay.
Well, but he doesn't cross-dress. He doesn't wear anything that's...
He was hoping that he would wear
I
a
don't
bra.
know that he wears anything.
That's true.
It's true, he might wear one.
We are unaware of his undergarments.
Feminine clothing.
Well, most of us are. I'm sure there's some out there that know what he wears.
Oh, there's a lot of pictures. I could find them.
Don't.
Lord.
Please don't. We're not going
Between Dumbledore and Harry Potter.
Do they switch clothes?
They switch fluids.
So, Star Wars versus
God.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, we were comparing Star Wars and Harry Potter.
But I'm just trying to understand, like,
Darth
really,
Dumbledore.
the only comparisons that I actually see, because I actually thought about this from yesterday when I was informed that this is what we were doing by Jacob.
Bitter.
Yeah,
Bitter.
he's real on top of things about letting us know about this shit.
I
On
meant
top.
to do it Friday night, sorry.
It's okay. I'm getting used to it. Anyway,
Good thing.
the only thing that I could really think of is like from a story, like writer development kind of side. Because I mean, yes, like Luke and Harry have very similar like story backgrounds. They have structured it very similarly, where like Ron is Han Solo and Hermione is Leia, and they have like this whole similar kind of like structure story wise. And of course, it's the hero's journey. I mean, you don't really fuck with that formula like that. It always works. So, like, I mean, it's all structured the same way.
There's also the connection from the two main characters, the two heroes, to the villain.
Not quite. Voldemort isn't Harry's dad.
True, but there still is a connection.
There's
like
a
an
deep connection
interesting,
between the two.
What if he
deep
was?
connection that comes
I don't. It's,
Oh my gosh.
The thing
That
is
would be
like
great.
Plot twist.
when Harry dies, a piece of Voldemort dies. When Luke dies, a piece of Vader does not die.
Vader's already dead.
Not until he's dead.
True. Yeah.
So I mean, like,
That's true. He does not die until he's dead.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Same thing with
Dead.
Luke. Same thing with Luke. But I'm just saying, like, it's not the same connection. They have deep connections, but I mean, that's like saying, like,
But if they were the same, then they're the same story.
Yeah, that'd
There's
be
no
boring.
point if they're the same exact
well, they're
connection.
clearly not the
And
same
that's
story.
the end of the
That's
episode.
the-
There is no
that's the
point.
point.
Well done. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Points don't matter.
My favorite connection that I've found between Star Wars and Harry Potter is wand lore versus saber making.
Okay.
Because you can use different materials, and the materials mean something.
The only connection in that regard is wand making actually requires everything. Like, it takes into consideration all of the components of a wand. Because, I mean, like, the wood can change, which also can change how the wand reacts, but then there's also the core of the wand, which also fundamentally changes how the wand reacts.
Well-
But the problem is that's not the same with a lightsaber.
Not anymore.
You can use different
Even
metals. You can use different type of
Changing the metal,
materials.
changing the metal has no difference.
And changing the crystal.
The
inside
crystal
also
does.
changes.
So the only
The crystal
correlation
and the feather.
the only correlation is the core of the wand and the crystal of the lightsaber. That's it. But
There's
the thing
still
is,
similarity.
that's where it ends.
There's also the similarity between, I mean, if you watch Clone Wars, the crystal chooses the Padawan.
That's not completely accurate.
Well,
It is to that, but that's the only instance
It is on
in
the
all of
Padawan
Star
side.
Wars.
Well, yeah, the
Dark
rest of them
side,
are
it doesn't
pretty
fucking
much-
matter.
Yeah.
I take
Well,
you.
not
And in
not
Harry
just
Potter,
hand
you
down.
can take somebody's wand and try to force it to adhere to you.
Yeah, that is true.
Not all wands
Yeah, but
will.
you don't make a wand bleed.
You can't make a
You can
wand.
break
You can make a Padawan bleed.
He's referring to the whole bleeding of the kyber.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry.
But the thing is like There's a fundamental difference between how a wand functions and how a lightsaber functions.
True. But the manufacturing and the importance of the materials that go into it and the cores, crystal versus...
Well, the crystal is the only correlation. The materials necessary in order to actually craft the lightsaber don't have to be the same, but they don't make a difference to how the lightsaber functions.
But the way that you make it does.
Not quite true. That's not quite true.
Hey,
all lightsabers...
He made that stupid sound.
Okay.
I mean, okay, so like the different type of like gripping on the lightsaber itself, like Dooku's lightsaber is curved, which has a completely different way that you can handle that. Same thing with how a wand is curved. How Voldemort's wand is more of a grip on here, then he can hold on like this kind of.
But that's
a better of a different.
But Jacob, that doesn't fundamentally change how the lightsaber works. The hilt is changed that way to adjust to a person's way of fighting with the lightsaber.
And with wand, the style changes.
Yeah, the style of
I
duel would still
understand that.
change with
But the thing is you're talking about crafting a lightsaber
fundamental
and crafting a wand. The wood on a wand makes a difference. The metal used to craft the components of a lightsaber doesn't.
Doesn't always have to be metal.
How do we know that the wood makes a difference?
That's actually a thing in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's a part of wand lore, yeah.
It's a very big part of wand lore.
Oh my
it all
gosh.
depends on what type of wood they use, as well as the core. It changes the way the wand works.
Some woods are more stubborn
Also-
than other woods.
Also,
It's-
the length of the wand and the flexibility of the
Yes.
Yeah, which also has nothing to do with how a lightsaber functions.
Okay, so but even if the only similarity
he
is
made
the
this sound.
If you have a double-bladed lightsaber, then it technically makes a different.
But the thing is the metal used to make that lightsaber doesn't matter where it comes from.
Well,
In fact, there are some metals that would actually deter you from crafting a functional lightsaber.
So the metal does matter.
yeah.
Well, no. The metal...
Don't be
good.
The overall metal does,
That
but
was
the
good.
thing is like there isn't a wood that you can't use to
That's
make a
incorrect.
wand.
That's not accurate.
Oh, really? Well, then
Yeah.
what wood can you use
I
to
have
not...
to look it up.
You
Oh, really?
Wait, no.
Because I can tell you right now exactly what metal you can't use to make a lightsaber.
Do it.
Okay, so
No, he had.
okay,
Do it.
go ahead.
What
Go ahead.
It's the metal that
And
Darth Vader-
time's up. Okay, continue.
Okay, so she may not be able to come up with on the spot the woods that you can't use to make a wand, but there are woods that are preferred and woods that are not preferred for making a wand,
Such as.
such as elderwood. No one wants a wand made of elderwood
I do.
because of the elder wand lore that goes along with it.
But that doesn't... Just because it's preferred not to be made doesn't mean you can't make a wand out of
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. But just because the metal might mess with the way that the
No,
lightsaber
like,
works, is there really a difference like that?
Literally, the metal that...
Because I don't know. I'm really asking this question.
Literally, the metal that I'm thinking of, it's cortosis. Cortosis, if you made a lightsaber...
I didn't know that was a metal.
That's the metal
I
cortosis
didn't know it was a metal.
That's what it is, because that's what they
I
used
thought
to
it was
haul...
some type of like
starships.
plasteel or
No, that's what they used to line the bottoms of starships.
Okay.
But the cortosis, that's mined by Darth Bane in the Bane trilogy. We always have to bring that up. And
Every time.
every time. But it's also used significantly throughout the Star Wars universe to haul or to line the hulls of starships. It's a very resistant metal, but it shorts out lightsabers. So if you were to actually use that specific type of metal to create a lightsaber, it would short itself out every time you turn
Literally,
it on.
functionally, it cannot
It
work.
functionally
But- okay.
cannot turn on.
Okay,
But-
I hear you.
The saber part of it does not actually touch the metal at any time.
But it does. When it exits
It's
the
not
lens,
connected to.
when it exits the
it
lens,
is not
it
connected
is touching.
to the metal. At
But we're
any
talking
point.
about all the metal components, all the intricate internal
cortosis-
parts.
All cortosis does is
It shorts out lightsabers as well as diffuses electricity.
when it hits.
No, not
But
when
if the
it.
light doesn't actually touch the metal, then a hilt can be made out of cortosis.
No.
Tell me where it states that cortosis cannot
In
be
the Jedi
used.
Code. I'm kidding.
You're an idiot, and I mean that in the nicest possible.
You don't.
Leave your comments.
So, one wood that is not used, and I am not 100% sure why, but I know for a fact it's not used in wands, is pine wood.
I can see that.
Zero
I could see
pine
that.
wood in a wand.
It's too soft.
Also, for technicality use, petrified wood.
Oh,
not?
yeah.
But it's technically a
That would
stone
be
at that point.
super
But still,
counterproductive.
it's
Yeah, it's technically not wooden.
Now, it's possible that could be used specifically because it does not meld with magic very well. I don't know. But I do know that pine is not used.
Okay.
Could be the reason why.
Interesting.
But it doesn't state that it can't be used.
No, not specifically.
Where
that
does
I've
that-
seen.
Where does that information come from?
Well, there's a whole Harry Potter
Where
Wikia.
does that information come from?
Harry Potter wiki.
Harry Potter Wikia has a list of every single wood that is used. Pine is not on that
The
list.
link is below.
The link will be below.
No, it is below.
It's below. And
It's
also
over
now
there.
above.
No, it's
No,
not.
It's
not
above.
No,
It's moving around and around and around.
It's just gonna say no. Or shut the fuck up,
Yes,
Tess.
yes. That it will say.
Another thing that's similar between Harry Potter and Star Wars, which isn't complete yet, but I have a feeling it might be, is the originals, and then the prequels, and then the sequels. So right now Harry Potter has the original Harry Potter series. We're going back to
Which is the original
prequels.
trilogy, and then
Yeah.
we're going
Yep.
back to the prequel.
Going back
And
to
we
the
have
prequels.
sequel.
And then
Well, they've kind of already
We
covered
have
the
Chris
sequel
Childs.
with
yeah, nobody
the.
considers that canon.
No
Yeah.
one considers the play.
No. The play is shit.
There's a Harry
It may be shit, but it
Yeah.
exists, and it was created by J.K. Rowling.
She was only a co-writer.
Her name is on it.
That's
She
That's a fair
condoned
point.
it.
She
Yeah.
was a co-writer, not
I-
the only
I do
only
not-
author.
If we hold George Lucas responsible for all the shit that's been made involving
Yeah.
Star Wars, then I will hold J.K.
But
Rowling
you just have
responsible for
different
that
tiers of
shitstorm.
canon now.
I
You
get
guys have joined our
Yeah.
club. There's different
No,
tiers.
I
And her
can't.
point has been reinforced.
I
Thank you.
But the
cannot
same thing
consider
exists
that.
with Star Trek.
I don't know Star Trek.
Well, no, I mean, like, if you have, like, the sequels, if you have the original sequel, prequel, the same thing's been done with Star Trek, as well as the canon being divisive against the people that watch it.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we don't recognize that part of Star
The
Trek.
JJ universe.
Exactly, the Kelvin universe.
Yeah.
Like, the same thing exists in Star Trek. So, I mean, honestly, that you could say every fandom is the same at this point, because they've all been fucked over by their creators at one point or another.
Yeah.
Not Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Not every fan.
Absolutely!
How?
The live-action
Legend
movie!
of Korra.
And Legend of Korra is shit!
Yeah.
Legend of Korra is not shit.
It is
That
shit!
live-action movie is not canon because it's just retelling the story, which it doesn't make any fucking sense. So just stick with the fucking regular anime that is actually the original fucking piece of art that it is.
Shyamalan,
Sorry.
you're awesome.
Fuck you, Shyamalan.
You made something
Don't
not
be
good.
the nicest possible way ever.
Just stick to your
Last Airbender
Unbreakable
was awesome.
universe, and that's it. Just stick to Unbreakable and that whole universe,
I'm
and
okay
then
with that.
you're good.
Okay, what's another comparison?
That was great.
Don't even get me started with that.
People get pissy. So pissy.
Oh, sorry. You have wine.
You just now realize
That
this?
was
Yeah.
One moment.
almost.
Anywho.
God damn it!
And we're back.
But the thing is, a lot of the things that you're bringing up in like similarities between Harry Potter and Star Wars could also be made between Harry Potter and like Star Trek, or like Harry Potter and Alien universe.
Okay,
Okay.
but doesn't that go back to your point that they're both hero journeys? Like, if the basis for all of these
Well, she's
stories
bringing.
is hero journey,
Well, the difference.
then all of these pieces that you're bringing into it would just feed into that. That all of these journeys have these things that come into
The
play.
difference
that's-
is
that's from the writing.
In the Alien series, the hero did not win.
In Alien?
That poor alien.
Yeah, yeah, the Queen.
She should have won.
Rest in peace.
She really should have
She
won.
should have.
Ripley was a bitch.
Killed so many of her
I've
children.
never
Okay,
seen
I
any of
haven't
the
seen
Alien
it.
movies,
Oh,
so I
then
don't know what you're
don't
speaking of.
Bring it up.
I didn't bring anything
I-
into this.
But no,
And if
I'm
you're
just.
going to bring it all back to the writing, these wouldn't even exist without the
Well,
writing.
no, she's bringing up the minutia of like the
Sure
story,
they
like the
would.
wand making, lightsaber making. I'm
That's
like,
the whole point. Is
but the same thing could be made between Star
stories
Wars
that have
and
a
Star
movie.
Trek
Yeah.
and Harry Potter.
Yeah. You wanted comparisons, bitch. I gave you comparisons.
Yeah, but
So do you have anything to add then? Do you, since you're shooting all of her comparisons down?
That was bad. That was bad.
Oh man. Whew. Okay.
I mean, if they knew what that word meant, it would be terrible.
Okay, leave that one in. Leave your comments below.
Okay, alright. So lots of white people.
There's a token black guy in both, though. They had the black kid in the school. I saw a picture earlier.
There's multiple black kids. There's at least 2 just in Gryffindor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just in the third movie, in one scene, there's 2.
What about the first movie?
First
What?
movie,
There has to-
Jordan Dean. Dean
Yeah.
Jordan. Dean Jordan is black.
You don't
So the
even
one
know.
guy.
Dean Thomas and Lee
God
Jordan.
damn it.
Dean
Yes.
Thomas and Lee Jordan, yes. And I'm thinking there's another
The-
kid that's in
the
the
owner
background.
of
I always
Wendy's?
call him the Blueberry
Yes.
Kid because he looks
Okay.
blue on the screen. There was a kid in the divination
They had to
class
think real hard.
when Harry's...
Like, we know one black guy in
Yes.
all Star Wars.
No, there's
And he's
two.
pretty. Oh no, there's 2.
There's
Finn.
2. There's
Well, there's
3
2 now.
There's 3.
There's 3.
Yeah, there's
Lando. There's Finn.
and
Mace
then there's
Windu.
Mace Windu.
Oh yeah, Mace Windu.
How could you
no,
forget
and
that
then
motherfucker?
and then there's the
He
Padme's
doesn't
captain.
come
So there's
first.
technically 4.
Oh, and there's there are 4 black
There's
guys
4
in all
black guys
Star
in
Wars.
the Star
Oh
Wars.
shit. We've got lots of Asians and a couple of Muslims too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have Muslims?
accurate.
Padme and Pavarti Patel.
Padme?
Padma.
Pad.
Now you're mixing your
Oh, see?
You gave me shit for Dumbledore.
Yes, Padma and Parvati. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm here today.
You look like it.
Now, if we can move on. You had mentioned something earlier before we started recording, get your head out of the way, about statistics. What were you referring to?
So Jake and I actually looked it up. The original, or the 8 episodes of Star Wars made 8.7 million. Billion?
Billion.
Not million. Billion.
Billion.
Oh, I'm sure they made 8.7 million first, and then moved forward to
Yeah, like one of the movies made that.
probably
More.
less than like half the first movie, or less.
What?
Anyway.
Anyway, so they've made 8.7 billion.
Okay.
Harry Potter, 8 movies, made 7.7 billion.
Okay, so Star Wars is better.
So Star Wars is made more. However,
It's better.
Star Wars had 40 years to attract multiple generations. Harry Potter was only done in 20 years. Half the time, almost as
Books
much
came out first.
But you also have to take into consideration inflation.
That's true.
Books came
That's
out
true.
first.
And those numbers are unadjusted for
And
inflation.
those books went worldwide long before the first movie was ever made.
About 4 years.
Long before.
Sure.
And
I would say you're definitely hitting multiple generations with Harry Potter.
there was
By now,
oh
at
yeah,
least, yeah.
oh
Yeah.
hell yeah.
By now. But when the original movies came
No,
out,
no. When the original books came out, they hit multiple generations.
Yeah, I don't
Right
know how
off
many
the bat.
adults were reading it as much as kids.
correct. But you guys had 40 years. We only had 20.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, if you look at when Harry Potter came out, the overall zeitgeist idea of like nerd culture
Was much more prominent.
was
at the
much
time.
more prominent
Correct.
when Harry Potter came out. Like Star Wars, when it came out, had to
Nerds
fight
were
an
frowned upon.
Yeah, they were. They really were. Like when Star Wars came out, it came out to an uphill battle. Like it almost didn't even get made because George Lucas, like when he pitched it, they
Yeah.
laughed at him. They
Yeah.
were like, "No, you're not making
They
that."
didn't want it.
And he had to like actually fight in order to just make the first Star Wars. And he had to get help from George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola, like big name directors at the time. Huh? Steven Spielberg.
You
yeah.
said George Lucas, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all good.
George Lucas needed to get help from Steven Spielberg as well as Francis Ford Coppola and like several other like
It turns out Spielberg ended up helping him a lot.
Well,
yeah
They
yeah.
went to school together, so you know.
Well, same thing with Francis Ford Coppola, but
Yeah.
he needed to get help from very already established directors to even get assistance to make the first Star Wars. So I mean, you got to look at the amount of money that Star Wars has also made. Like money wise, a lot of that probably came from being closer towards Harry Potter's like release. Like when the time frame.
Mhm.
Like, a lot more of the money that was made for Star Wars was probably made closer to when Harry Potter was released than when Star Wars first came out.
Yeah.
There's also, like, J.K. Rowling had a big problem when she was trying to publish her first book. They actually specifically told her not to put in her name because they didn't think that anybody would read it if it was written by a woman. So that's why she went by J.K. Rowling.
That is true.
That's really
That is
fucking
true.
weird,
She was
though.
also living
Because,
in
I
her
mean,
car
there's
at the
so
time,
many...
too.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was a single mother living in her car.
Yeah, the Harry Potter stories are written as bedtime stories for children. Like, I know that, but I'm just saying it's weird that, like, a discrimination thing would be made to the fact that she's a woman.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, her
That doesn't make sense, considering there's so many already established female writers.
Yeah, but they do.
But still,
sophomore.
yeah. A
Not all of them.
fandom like this, it's not as common for a woman to have written this magnitude, like this whole world.
Well, I mean, I don't
You
think
know,
she
that's
expected
not-
it to blow up to the degree
Not that
Harry
we know
Potter
of.
has.
She didn't-
Not that we know of.
Not that
Just
we
not
know of.
published.
Yes. But, I mean, at the same time, it's not like it was just the one book. Like, when she started this, she already had the whole world.
She had the
forming.
concept.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
she
concept
had the whole thing, not just Harry, but everything that came before and everything that came after. That's why we're now getting Fantastic Beasts, because she's got all this extra info about
she
this
wants to
world
make money.
hanging out in her. I mean, she probably does want to make money, but I think it's also a creative outlet for her. You know, she has this entire world in her head she needs to get out of her head.
Yeah.
She's a female Tolkien,
Yes.
because he did the same thing.
Yeah.
She's also the only billionaire who ever lost her billionaire status because she donated too much money to charity. So I really don't think
You
money is a big
bitch.
deal. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which,
I don't know. I mean, I think Bill Gates probably donates a shit ton of money.
True.
He didn't lose his billionaire status.
What?
Miss Rowling, if you're watching, let us know. Okay.
Leave a comment or a thumbs up.
No, contact us on our Facebook page. That'd be great. Anyway,
What were we talking about?
statistics. Give me another one.
Additionally, Star Wars was translated into 50 different languages, including English. Harry Potter was translated into 68.
Was Star Wars really translated into English?
Kind of.
Technically, by our
50 total languages.
Oh my God.
George Lucas.
Jesus.
It started out Black and Standard. R2
Okay.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
So-
Don't.
Yeah, through the what is it? The Wills.
The Wills.
Yeah, the
We're
Wills.
done with the
Yeah.
Wills. The Wills are done.
This son of a bitch went on for 4 fucking hours. I had to cut it.
It's not true.
And I actually, when I was watching that and you guys just kind of like stopped it, I actually paused the video, got onto Wikipedia, read that fucking
Thank you.
story, and
Good.
it took me like 2 minutes to read the story. I don't understand why it took him that long
Thank
to read
you.
it out loud.
Well, we know he can't read
Well,
very
yeah.
well.
He has a very loose grip on the English language.
6.5. If for all you D&D people up there,
What?
I
What?
said I have an
Jesus
intelligence
Christ.
level of 6.5. I can kind of read.
No, you're like 8.
I thought it was that.
No, I'll give him an 8. 10 is like human
I
average.
thought it was 5.
8 is like.
6 you
Something's
can't read,
wrong.
which is why I was doing 6.5. So
You can't read.
thanks.
Anyway, okay.
Alright. But the amount of languages that it's translated into is. I mean,
That
it's
doesn't
great that it's.
mean
Ours can reach more people.
Ours.
Yeah, I guess.
Ours is I mean, technically,
Made
yeah,
more
Star
money.
Wars
Such
is
a
the
good
third
argument.
largest franchise. We looked that up. It's
Yeah.
technically the third largest behind Pokemon and Hello Kitty. So.
Which is fucking ridiculous.
Wait, what?
That's
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
That's
Pokemon's
insane.
first, Hello Kitty second, Star Wars is third.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I mean, Hello
That's
Kitty, man.
crazy. Damn.
Hello Kitty, man.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one sexy cat.
But there are technically more books of Star Wars than Harry Potter.
Okay.
Yeah, like a
A
lot.
lot.
But not anymore.
Hang on.
When
No, yeah, there are still.
When I was thinking about reading Star Wars, I was utterly disgusted by the fact that Star Wars is written by not one person. It's
Why?
written by a multitude of people.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with that?
Wait,
Because,
what?
yeah,
Why?
it's just
But
there's
why?
people
What is
just
what is your
submit.
why referring to?
Why is there
Why what?
I think the issue that I have with that is that the
Why
story
what?
originates, the whole universe originates in one person. To then have other people coming in and adding things, I feel like you're risking diluting the world with all of these other ideas.
Okay, so
Hold on.
they take their
Or
book.
possibly adding diversity.
There you go.
They take their book. They write like a random ass fucking person writes their book. They submit it to like somebody who actually knows something about Star Wars.
The
And then
keeper of the lore.
That person reads it to make sure that there's nothing like that's going to explode something else, and they publish it.
Yeah.
That's
So
not how
basically,
it gets worked out.
Star Wars
Yeah.
has a ton of fanfic that's
Yes.
included in canon,
Yes.
Yeah.
But not really.
but it's
It is.
fanfic.
No,
That's not. It's
Actually,
not the same
it's
thing.
not fanfic.
It's
because a lot of the writers weren't necessarily Star Wars fans.
At the time when it becomes published, it becomes canon. It's no longer fanfic at that point.
Because fanfic is uncanonized.
How can you just? How do you just throw this into canon?
like-
It's fine.
so
I just don't
No,
understand
you
how
don't-
you're so loose
Because
with what is included in your
all right.
canon.
All right.
As-
First, the
Okay,
biggest,
so explain it to really. I'm asking.
the biggest way,
Explain this to
the
me.
biggest way to explain this would be, or the easiest way to explain this would be, J.K. Rowling's entire universe encompasses just Earth. She doesn't have to create a planet. She doesn't have to create a race and how it thinks. She doesn't have to create anything more than what she's already created, which is based on what's on Earth.
She did create race.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
She created races that are already based off of already mythological creatures. She didn't change
Okay.
the way they think.
Okay.
She just took something that was already established and she went with it in her own direction, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's done all the time in other books. But Star Wars has millions of different planets, all different, millions of different races of creatures, all different, millions upon billions upon trillions
Of
of
diseases.
people and individuals within that universe. The Harry Potter universe is very centralized. It focuses primarily on, if you watch the movies and read the books, Harry Potter and his time at Hogwarts. That's it. Star Wars comes from many different facets. Not only do you see the original trilogy of like Luke Skywalker and his friends, and then you see the prequels, which is Anakin and his friends, and then you see the new ones, the postquels that are being made that involve, that are Rey and their friends. But all the books that are written also encompass like Corran Horn or Admiral Thrawn or Bane, or there's so many other people that exist in this universe that you never see from the perspective of the movies or any of the canon that's made by George Lucas.
That could
You
be
could
done in
say
Harry
the
Potter.
same thing about Harry Potter.
Hang on, before you get there, I have to disagree with you a little bit and boil it down. You said Harry Potter series focuses on Harry Potter and his thing. Star
The
Wars.
books and the movies do.
Stop. Star Wars can be boiled down to the same thing. It follows the story of Whiny Bitch. That whiny bitch travels from one person to one person to one person, but it's still the travails of Whiny Bitch.
You're just looking at the movies and the
Yes.
core.
Yes.
See, the difference between that and what Harry Potter has is J.K. Rowling can only write so much. Clearly.
Until she croaks.
Until she dies, correct.
She's one person.
She's one person writing one cohesive story from one perspective. George Lucas did the same thing when he made the prequels and the sequels. One perspective, one story arc. Getting 100 other writers to contribute what they want to write about in the Star Wars universe adds many different facets, and it fleshes out the overall universe because there are a lot of books that don't follow the Skywalker. They don't follow that. Like, how many books in the Harry Potter verse don't follow Harry?
Quite a few of them, actually.
How many?
Which ones?
Well, there's the Fantastic Beasts, which
Yeah.
is going to be 4 movies.
How many
there-
I think it's 5.
I think it's
How many books?
Have those books already been
Five
written,
movies.
though?
the books have already been written.
Okay.
Plus, there's all of the textbooks, which are literally textbooks. They're not about
Okay.
Not about
Characters.
Okay.
characters. There's Tales of Beetle and the Bard,
Tales
which
of
are
Beetle and the
all
Bard.
fairy tales.
Okay.
And then she has written a book about ghosts, a book about Dolores Umbridge, and
That whore.
a book about something else. there's a third one that doesn't.
That's
have
a great book. The book about something
Something
else.
else.
You should look that one up.
What I'm understanding here is she hasn't really written too many books outside of core Harry Potter. Like, there are books out there, but most of them are just like 1 or 2 or 3 books that kind of flesh out these tertiary things that were introduced in the core books.
Correct.
Whereas in Star Wars, a lot of what the writers write about are books that don't involve any like the tales of the
Literally just fan fiction.
the tales of the.
It's just fan fiction that they published.
And you
But it fits within the overall
incorporated it
Star Wars
into
universe.
And I mean, we could go and write a Harry Potter fan fiction about not
But
Harry
would J.K.
Potter.
Rowling allow it to become canon?
Okay,
Probably
so
not.
the Thrawn
that's
trilogy
the
is based
difference.
off of the. Okay, so George Lucas, when he originally made Star Wars, he made to technically Episode 12. He gave Episode.
No.
Yeah, he did.
No.
he did.
A
Episode,
trilogy of trilogies is what he wanted to do originally.
he did up to Episode 12.
You'll need to look that one up.
Yes, he had up to Episode 12, and then when he made after Return of the Jedi, he gave the rest of them to not the rest of them, but he gave a few of them to Zahn, the guy who created Thrawn and everything, and that's how he based the Thrawn trilogy. Was based off of,
It's still a fan fiction.
but not really, because if it's okayed by George Lucas, then it's not a fan fiction.
No, it's still a fan fiction.
No, it's not. It's technically published at that point.
Yeah,
It's
just
still
because it's published doesn't mean it's not fan fiction.
Then technically, those textbooks and all
Then
that stuff
technically, 50 Shades of Grey is a Harry Potter fan fiction.
No,
that was
it's
published.
Twilight fan fiction. Don't get it messed up. It's Twilight fan fiction. It's 100% Twilight fan fiction.
She's got a point.
It's no one think. Well, okay, I won't say that.
But
Twilight
people
sucks.
people think that 50
Twilight
Shades
does
of Grey
suck.
is its own thing. It's not. It's 100% Twilight fan
Yeah,
fiction
I'm aware.
that is completely based 100% on Twilight. They just shifted it a little bit.
But the thing is why isn't
It's
it
not
recognized?
canon.
Why is it not recognized as canon?
Then technically,
Because
Harry
it's not
Potter,
canon.
Harry
It's not
Potter's
written
fan fiction
as a
for
fiction.
Lord of the Rings, then, because everything's based off of fantasy,
Okay,
which is
all of-
the basis of fantasy is Lord of the Rings.
All of these Star
I'm
Wars
based off of
books.
fantasy.
Okay.
Seriously, that's what
all
you guys
of-
are saying. That
no,
most of all the
okay.
things that Disney is publishing and everything like that is all fan fiction. That means Harry Potter is fan fiction and Lord of the Rings.
All
Yes.
all of the books that have been written for Star Wars have the Star Wars logo on them.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
That means
And they're
that those
endorsed by
fan
Lucasfilm.
fictions were all published under the Star Wars umbrella.
Well,
Unless it says Disney, it's not canon.
at this point,
Yeah.
And all the newest books have the Disney logo on them, which
So,
makes them canon.
Everything that's at this point, everything that's not Disney, all the books that were published that don't have
They're
Disney
considered
logo on
legends.
them,
That's exactly
they're
correct.
legends.
That's
they
exactly
are fanfic
correct.
legends.
well, yes, now they are.
That's exactly correct.
They're called legends. They're not fanfic, though.
They're fanfics.
No.
They
Well,
are.
at this point,
They
yes, Legends
were
is
written
fanfic.
by somebody who learned of Star Wars and decided to spin off.
We're gonna put the
Yep.
definition of fanfic here, which means probably not published. Therefore, if it is published, that means it's not fanfic. If we're getting very fucking technical.
It's all
And we'll see if
They're
that
just-
definition is accurate or not.
They're just published fanfics.
Well,
But
Harry
the
Potter's technically fanfic for Lord of the Rings, which is taking place in our
Absolutely
world.
not.
The problem,
Yes!
the problem. Okay,
Yes,
I think
it is,
the
yes.
problem that you're having
Based
with
on
this is the fact that fanfic generally isn't incorporated into the canon.
Correct.
Like, period.
Correct.
Fanfic is not.
Usually.
It is fan. No, period.
No,
Does
it
that make
can
Luna
be.
fanfic
When?
then?
No, it can't.
What?
Luna is technically not in the book.
She's
Yes, she is. She is
Yes.
100% in all of the book.
Yeah.
Don't even
I
start.
thought she wasn't because I knew about the whole cancer thing and all that. So
When,
Cancer?
the
What?
chick was.
That was the actress.
Yeah.
I thought she
that's-
just created a character.
No.
No.
No,
She
no.
was the
Luna's
character.
I stopped at Order of the Phoenix. Sorry.
what other canon allows fanfic to be incorporated into it to become canon?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, so the definition of fanfic then would be unpublished, uncanonized, essentially stories written by fans that are just given out, that put out into the public
Yeah.
for people to read.
Yeah.
Okay. The books that are written for Star Wars are not fanfic simply because they are published and endorsed and put in and incorporated into the canon. There are characters that exist in Star Wars now that have been put into the movies that started in the books.
Correct. But when they originally
But there wasn't.
When they were
but
originally written, they were fanfics.
But they
And
weren't.
then they were
They were
submitted
hired.
to
No,
become a part of.
They
No,
were
they
hired.
weren't. No.
You're misunderstanding. It wasn't a fan that wrote it because they saw Star Wars and did it. It's a established writer. It's like if George Lucas went up to J.K. Rowling and asked her to write a Star Wars book, and hired her to write a Star Wars book,
Okay.
and
Then
then
it
was
matter
published.
right now.
Okay, I didn't know that they were hired.
Yeah, they're
to do
hired.
that.
They're hired. It's
If they're
not
hired,
literally.
That changes it.
Yeah.
That's what we've been saying.
You said that they were
No, no, no.
hired.
We
you
said
didn't
they
say
were
that
writers.
But you didn't say that they were hired.
Yeah, I could be a writer.
You're not.
I am.
could be. Yeah,
Yeah, but you're
I'm
not.
not published.
Yeah,
Therefore, everything I do is fan fiction.
There you go.
Some great fan fiction.
Okay, so to get back to our main point then, aside from this argument about fanfic and whether or not things are considered fanfic or not fanfic.
Before you do that,
How...
Star Wars fan movies. We'll have a few links below for a few that we found.
Yeah, the real.
interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But still, the fact that... Okay, so the whole reason that we got onto this topic was because Harry Potter has Earth, and it's all Earthbound.
It's not
And-
his Earth, you know.
Well, no, it's not his, but it's Earthbound. It's all centralized,
Oh, okay.
On Earth.
as you have said, on Earth. Star Wars has
A galaxy.
galaxy of
Somewhere in the
planets.
stars.
And technically another galaxy.
Stars. That all feed into the story and the whole universe and the whole everything. How does that make it better than Harry Potter?
I'm not simply stating that it's better. I'm just simply stating because you were arguing as
I
to
did.
like why are other writers allowed to write these books?
And we're done.
Damn it.
Okay, we have another one that we have to
Do we need to continue?
Yes.
because we didn't even get to the wizard slot.
Take us out, asshole.
Why me?
Because
All right.
you didn't
Your
talk
idea.
enough.
Fuck you guys.
You
What-
just
what?
You just yelled at people.
Good.
Really.
Actually,
Thank
you
you.
did a lot of...
Taking me back. There's gonna be a video below about the thing.
Dude, what?
I actually understood that. Is
I'm sure you did. That was part of what I was doing, wasn't it?
No, there's a video of this guy. It's like all the whole thing is like all of his noise is like.
Okay, that's gonna be 10 hours of Jacob doing that. Sorry, guys.
Christ.
I'm not even.
Thanks for joining us on the Blue Milk Podcast. Catch us again next time,
We
next
continue
Monday.
This shit.
Yeah, we're gonna do a two-parter on this probably. Catch us again next Monday at 7 p.m. when we are here again, still talking about Harry Potter and Star Wars. Be sure to check out our sister podcasts of Real Film Nerds and The Mile High Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, and toodles!
Hashtag Live for Kennedy.
Oh yeah, hashtag Limp for Kennedy, hashtag Star Wars,
Excuse me, what?
Anything you'd like
hashtag
to
thumbs
add?
down.
What is happening right
Oh,
now?
somebody does not know
understand
what
what's
Lynn for
happening.
Kennedy is. Would you please explain to
Can
the
someone
new?
help me here?
Limp for Kennedy?
I don't
Kennedy-
want to know. Do I? I don't want to know.
Kennedy